How do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see a steady job or a nice car? What about a happy family? If you don't plan on having a family, I encourage you to do so, or reconsider. It is one of the most important aspects of people's lives. It doesn't completely define people, but for most people, it profoundly affects their personality traits and behavior. In some cases, it has a positive effect, but can also hurt the individual. There are always exceptions, but the nuclear family, which consists of a couple of kids and a wife or a spouse that are unseparated, that usually yields the most positive impact. Single mother, single father, and LGBT families tend to fall behind. It isn't impossible to successfully raise children in these homes, but it is definitely harder. It isn't always possible, but one should strive for the nuclear family to ensure the greatest possible outcome for themselves and their children's future. The first thing I want to talk about is LGBT families. It's estimated that 10 million people have had at least one LGBT parent in their lives. The first type I want to talk about is transgender parents. They're especially dangerous to the children because they've already went through the operation, and they're more likely to let their kids go through it if their kids think that they need to. I've seen stories where kids as young as 4 years old are going through gender reassignments, and that's just dangerous to let a 4-year-old decide something that is irreversible and going to impact them for the rest of their lives. I got that from dailymail.com in an article called "Child Age 4 Becomes Youngest in Australia to have a gender swap." And glad.com, children of LGBT families, parents, I mean. The next thing I want to talk about is the next family type is gay parents. I think they're less dangerous than the trans parents, but still they're more likely to be accepting of trans children or gay children, and that could lead to the situation of trans youth getting worse in the future. Next thing I want to talk about is children themselves of LGBT families. There's a number of negative effects that they can have, but I'm going to focus on their suicide rates. Children that have a sexual minority are 3.5 times as likely to commit suicide than heterosexual children. Transgender adolescents are even worse. They're 5.87 more likely to attempt. These LGBT parents, they know that risk, and they're still raising their children in this way. And it amazes me how it's still considered healthy and best for the children. And I got that from Reuters.com, LGBT youth at higher risk for suicide. The next thing I want to talk about is single parent homes. They make up 27% of the households in the U.S. It is mostly single mothers, like it's overwhelming majority. Children in single parent homes are more likely to experience poverty, school failure, and relationship trouble, among other things. It's not only short-term effects, but also it can affect their futures as well into their adult years. And also affects the parents themselves, because it puts a lot of stress on them to try to provide for their children by themselves. I got that from Reuters.com, single fathers rate physical and mental health low, and Prospect.org, consequences of single motherhood. There are many positive effects of the nuclear family. Just some are better economic stability, happier kids. It provides more security for the kids, on average, they have better health, better communication skills, better behavior, and many other things. It's also much easier on the adults because they have less stress in trying to provide for their family because they have a partner. And I got that from lovetoknow.com, pros and cons of a nuclear family. The last thing I want to talk about is the choice aspect. People are actively choosing not to have this traditional family type. It is true that it's not always possible, because I'm sure there are people that want it, but there are people that, like I said, are actively choosing to go against it. Some statistics to back that up is two-parent households are on the decline. In 1960, 73% of kids that were living with two parents in their first marriage. That number has declined to only 43% today. While the nuclear family homes are decreasing, LGBT and single-parent homes are increasing rapidly. There were 700,000 trans people in the U.S. in 2011, and that number is almost doubled to 1.4 million today. And for the single-parent homes, 9% of children were living in single-parent homes in 1960, and like I said before, that number's grown to 27% today. This is a result of more acceptance of non-traditional families. And I got the information from PewSocialTrends.org, American Families Today, and NewYorkTimes.com. Estimate of U.S. trans population doubles to 1.4 million. In conclusion, it's not just about feeling good. You must think of your children's future and your future when deciding on family. It not only impacts them, but it impacts the people around them and our society as a whole. I'm very thankful to have a nuclear family of my own. It had a great impact on me, and I'm very blessed to have it. And if at all possible, single parent and LGBT homes should be avoided in favor of traditional family types.